I won't waste your time on that. But I thought, let me share a little background of myself as a businesswoman, because I've been into business for about 24 years. Actually, 25 years, It's just that the first 22 years of my life, I spent on other type of businesses, So I'm kind of a serial entrepreneur, It's that the minute I was introduced to drone technology, I was stuck with the drone technology. But I've been into business, so I'm still continuing to be a serial entrepreneur. The difference between this time around and then is that I'm focusing only on drone. In other positions, in other business entity, I'm just a non-executive director. I'm a shareholder, but I'm passive there. And like the only time I become active, of course, when we have to account, have board meetings. So I spend 80% of my life on drone business because that's a legacy that I would like to build. For instance, I'm a shareholder and a non-executive a director in this company, where you see it's a tanker there where we transport chemicals to 4 countries outside South Africa. Norway, it's one of them. So I'm a shareholder there, but I'm not active. That also demonstrates that I'm more of a serial entrepreneur. And also 2 weeks ago, we got a license to be wholesaler to distribute you name them, jet fuel, oil, and all of that, with this entity that I formed with my other partner on energy. It's called Akira Energy. But she's the one, my partner is the one who has a lot of energy business, who's driving the venture. I'm very passive there, as I said, because I'm focusing on drone technology. But I'm also very passionate about youth. I'm very passionate about plowing back. So I've been a member of YMCA. I think most of us know about YMCA, basically pushing youth agenda. So I was lucky that 2 years ago, I was appointed as a deputy president to take care of all the YMCAs in Africa. So the agenda that I'm pushing is social entrepreneurship, whereby we are saying, let's teach NPOs and NGOs how to run those kind of entities, but pushing social innovation, pushing financial sustainability, and pushing drone for good if we are using technology. So hence, I'm very involved with YMCA. So basically, I'm sharing you with this that I'm a serial entrepreneur at heart. And before these entities, I used to run a lot of training companies. Like I used to run a lot of artisan colleges until in 2017, where I decided to take a sabbatical because I wanted to be in the business of technology, and I chose the business of drones. But basically, that's a background. That's my personal background. Other than that, I'm a single mother of 3 girls. I enjoy dancing salsa and kizomba. And I enjoy playing a golf, but due to COVID, my social life is a bit slow these days. Yeah, but that's me in a nutshell. Okay, hope you know more about me now. So currently, before I talk more about the QP as a business, is that ever since I got involved in the drone space, this is me. What happened is that when I took a sabbatical in 2017, that I wanted to pursue tech business. I decided to go back to business school, and I went to Wits Business School. It's one of the leading universities here in Africa, to do masters in entrepreneurship. And I'm happy that I did that I took that decision, because one of the modules that was offered there was on technopreneurship, where we were exposed to different technology that one can pursue as a businesswoman. And I chose the business of drones, and because not only I wanted to pursue technology, but I wanted also to learn about like to go and visit the country that is leading that in technology. And I realized that China was one of the leading countries in drone. Hence, immediately when I passed my master's degree in entrepreneurship, I went to China in Shenzhen. I was based there for 6 months just to learn the language of the business of drones. So that's me there, and yeah. all over China, learning about the business of drones, the DJIs of world. I visited all the companies, and thanks to my current business partner who exposed me to the industry, the Chinese business partner there. We met at the business school there. Yeah, so currently we are so privileged that we are also offered this position to host South African Flying Lab. Basically, it's an innovation hub, a global innovation hub, but every country has to host. After a thrilling interview of more than 7 months, where there was a lot of documentation and a series of interview, QP and its strategic partners were awarded the status to South African Flying Lab, and I'm happy because I'm benefiting a lot with the resources. But basically, we are pushing a drone for good and other robotic related courses like STEM and all of that. So basically, I'm an MD of South African Flying Lab, and I was lucky that I got invited to participate in a drone book that did very well. As a co-author, it was my first time. It became #1. It's just immediate as soon as it got released. In Amazon, Germany, under law and aviation, it hit the position #1, Germany, USA, #3 in UK. So I was privileged, and I enjoyed this because it was actually increasing our brand equity. And also, cherry on top, that one got invited to become an award judge, and I was humbled to see the type of caliber of judges that I was associated with, where we are judging all the drone companies that are doing into drone space, applying the best practices. So currently, this is among some of the things that I'm doing in the drone space, But I think this one is more of an important slide because I'm known for pushing in manufacturing, and then life happened, But let me start with manufacturing. That's a business model that I liked when I was in Shenzhen, in China. I realized that instead of them focusing on services, they also build this thing. And it makes sense to me when I thought back at home in South Africa, is that we need manufacturing businesses because it creates a lot of jobs. And it was interesting for me that is technology. So that's a decision that one took, that when I come back home, I'm going to be compared to my other competitors that are into services, that are importing this drone. I would like to build them here at home, So the whole business model was on building the whole drone, complete drone, and selling the drone parts as well, repairs and maintenance, which just becomes our cash cow. Like if you buy a car, the car dealers makes more money when you come and repair your car, and other instances, we knew that we've got clients that are only interested in renting than buying the whole drone. So that's an original business model that we thought we'll be pushing back home, But due to other challenges that I'm going to share with you later in the presentation, and then one had to pivot a bit. I usually say it's a temporal pivot because I'm not living this dream of building drones in South Africa, but because of the wealth of knowledge that one accumulated for the past 2.5 years on drone space, and also my experience as a businesswoman that I'm used to offering services. I'm used to be a consultant. I said, let me use that and rather offer services, Hence, we pivoted to consulting, offering an end-to-end solution. And obviously, one had to do retrospection and check where are the weaknesses, where are the challenges. So I partnered with companies that have ROC, a license to fly, obviously. I partnered with companies that have all the resources, and then I utilize my strength of being a governor of ecosystem, identification of stakeholders, business development, and we offer drone services. So for the first time in my life, instead of pitching to clients, to funders that I need funding to build manufacturing facility, I'm saying we've got the solutions now. All we need is an opportunity to offer those services to you, Hence, I'm saying we pivoted to consulting. That does not mean that we have left the manufacturing, but we kept it on hold. And I'm going to explain it later. Okay, basically these are the services that we offer, consulting services or drone solution with my consortium partners. We are into telecommunication space, health, agriculture. I won't waste time, mining, construction, tourism, municipality, maritime, and all the SOEs, all the companies that are government entities, but they run like business. So this is where we offer our services on drone solutions. So that's QP for now, is pushing this side of the business, and for me, as QP, on behalf of QP, to be able to push that agenda, I mentioned that I had to partner with people that have a license, which is Vula Air, people that have an experience in DE. So when it comes to pushing services, we do it through QP Consortium, which is QP, Ndlovu Consulting, and Vula Air Technologies. Okay. But I needed to mention that one was very lucky that the day one decided to push the issue of consulting and offering services to clients, other opportunities came, because that's my strength. That's what I've been doing all this time in business, to stakeholders and offering services. So I could see that you are beginning to attract people that want to work with us, strategic partners. Hence, when the opportunity of Flying Leg came, we applied and we got appointed, irrespective of the stiff competition, the big companies that we are competing with. And also we are working with Vet Enterprise, Vet University, and Vet University. We have partnered with them on lot of other projects. But the one that is relevant for today's presentation is that they are our partner in the manufacturing business. Hence, I just reiterated, I didn't leave the manufacturing altogether, but I've kept it on hold, doing it not under pressure anymore. So Vet University, I've partnered with them for R&D so that the engineers help us to build the drones that we want to build. And YMCA South Africa, because they've got database of youth, because with Flying Lab, we were expected to push Drone for Good, STEM project, and all other projects. So YMCA is a strategic partner for us because they have a database of youth that are hungry for knowledge, hungry for technology, hence they are partners here. And we've got what you call implementing partners, when we have a lot of capacity challenges with getting projects all over South Africa. We have some understanding with Kim's company, Drone Guards, that then will be subcontracting them to work with us to implement some of our projects there. And Advanced Aerial, which is known for security, surveillance, and in drones. So these are the strategic partners that help us to push the business of services, but also Vet University, because of its R&D capacity, is helping us to still go back and build our prototype, build our drone. Okay, so now I think that the title was the journey. What is my journey on manufacturing? What I learned and what happened. I must say that having been to 2 business schools, because I was exposed to business school in South Africa, but when I went to China, I was lucky that I was placed in one of the top business schools there in Shenzhen, But when I came back, I humbled myself that, okay, let me learn the ecosystem, the culture in South Africa when it comes to drone technology, because I believe that learning is, won't get wrong with learning all the time, So I started become a beneficiary in the innovation school in South Africa. One of them, I'm still one of the incubators, Innovation Hub, thanks to people like Kelly who welcomed me when I said, can I become one of the people that get incubated there? Because what I'm enjoying there, you meet with other tech companies, other startup like yourself, except that they are younger, of course. Yeah, and also the benefits that one gets there. I was able to launch my MVP. You see the photo there because of the grant that was given by Innovation Hub in Pretoria, and the access to grant, to government grant, and the infrastructure. For instance, I got approached by a university to come and join them and to work with them University of Tshwane, so I just called the Innovation Hub that I need a decent boardroom because I'm hosting this client, so they are good supportive structure for people like ourselves. So that's the reason that I'm still working with Innovation Hub of all these benefits. But also I was part of another drone accelerator that was run by Mr. Victor Khatebe. What my takeaway during that intervention is that it pushes the language of lean startup. As I said, that as much as I had a lot of information on running a business from business school, but what I liked, the lean startup model. Hence, I was able to see that it's time to pivot on my business. It's time to iterate. It's time to do an MVP. It's because I learned it from his intervention, And the one that my last intervention on acceleration is the one that I joined on startup. And my big takeaway on that one is that they taught us the power and the methodology of pitching to funders. I can pitch, you can wake me anytime. I can pitch within 1 minute. I can pitch the next 10 for the 10 minutes presentation, because this is what I learned from that Innovation Hub, and what I like as well, we're pushing that it's important that you need to push sales all the time. Hence this year, with the scaling approach that I'm busy, I'm talking to people that are able to pay me now. No longer doing things for Mahala Kim. No longer be a key speaker for Mahala, because I learned this time that there's a time where you need to say, now I'm pushing sales, So basically what I'm saying, that I'm happy that I became part of this intervention, because there's something that I could take away with this innovation. So I'll encourage other people, even women, into the space. No, not every knowledge is enough. You always learn all the time, Yes. So how I started the innovation, the drone technology journey. Other than attending this accelerators program, obviously, when I came back, I attended a lot of drone conferences to network, to check the ecosystem, and also to learn about the rules of South Africa as a manufacturer, and I approached many companies to partner with, and I was not winning. Like Dinell, they say, yeah, we've got huge facilities, it's nice to partner with people like yourself, but nothing happened. This is out of this world, So yeah, so this is what I started doing when I was very driven to build manufacturing. Okay, lesson learned while I was into this manufacturing business mode, what I learned, that it's important that everyone says this, that you need to think big, start small, and scale fast. I think my biggest mistake, I'm a big thinker, and I'm very ambitious. I want to start big, I can't do small things, small projects, and that's a lesson that I learned in the process, in the business of manufacturing children. There's nothing wrong. It's nothing wrong by that you want things big, but you need to start small. When I came, I wanted to build the biggest manufacturing facility ever in South Africa or in Africa. But now I've learned that, okay, let me start small when it comes to manufacturing. But on scaling, I need to scale fast. So this was one of my best lessons in my journey. Okay. And I would like to start by this one, going to the directors, that unfortunately in the process, you lose some of the people that you started the business with. The lady that I started the business with, it's a lady, black lady from South Africa. Unfortunately, the business not for the faint-hearted. She had to resign because obviously we are busy pushing for 2 years, but no income is coming. No one is supporting us on manufacturing. So I had to lose that lady, and also partnership as well, Remember, I'm not an engineer by profession. I'm not technical, but what I do, my strength is commercialization. So I'm a businesswoman. So I partner with technical people and open market and run the ecosystem, But what I've learned is that people that were called engineers, that we agreed to work together, to come with the design, with the prototype. But on the way, they decided to dump me. They said they're getting better opportunities, and all of that, So that was painful, because you find that you've invested so much, but people saying that, they can't work with you on your concept of manufacture, And I think also the early adopters, I think was a bit early for South Africa as well. In 2018, I wanted to build drones. And they were still struggling with the drone technology, learning it, but I was wanting big money to build, So this is what I learned in the process, that, okay, maybe my timing was not ready. The timing was, they were not ready for this big intervention, but for services they were ready, but not necessarily for building. But now I'm seeing things are changing. Government is pushing, and the private sector is pushing manufacturing, even on drone manufacturing. So this was one of my takeaway, that maybe the timing, when you do technology and you want to go into the space of manufacturing, it's important that you check the state of readiness of the stakeholders. Also, one of my lessons, bootstrapping. As I said, that I come from a service industry, from a consulting industry, where you don't invest much when you start a business, bootstrapping. The only time I spent when I built my artisan college, when I was training plumbers and electricians, because obviously needed that kind of infrastructure. But most of the time, I was more into services and consulting. But with technology, funders will ask you that, we see there's a lot of sweat equity, but you want to see your drone that you bought, and unfortunately, because of our history, we don't have fools luxury where you've got the rich uncle that believe in your dream, or your rich friends, So you need to have that before people actually support you, So this is what I learned, that, okay, next time moving into manufacturing, hence I pivoted, that maybe, if I push this vertical integration to services, I may end up actually building the drone using our own money instead of being a beggar to funders, So this is what I learned, that bootstrapping in technology and building is not only on it's not a free lunch, Also, it's funding. I realized that South Africa, there are a lot of supporting structures to support you, like the government and all of that. But you need those engineers, and you start something, applying, filling the document, because it takes some time. The engineer end up dumping you that this government thing, this grant thing, So yeah, so these are the sum of things. But I must say that things have improved compared to 2 years ago. Hence, I didn't give up on this remote manufacturing, and I'm still pursuing it even now. It's just that it's no longer, I'm not pressurized anymore to do it, but it's going to happen again. Okay. And obviously, like any other entrepreneur, it's a lonely journey, It's a lonely journey because, your friends, they want to have time with you. Good time, you're always working, but at the end of the month, you don't have a check to show, and even your family begin to question you that, no, do something, maybe go back to work. And I haven't been working for the last 25 years, So it's quite a lonely journey. But I learned that with a vision and the passion and believing in it is what kept me going. And the doors are beginning to open because of these two strong traits that God has blessed me with. So these are some of the pains that I have experienced as a aspiring manufacturer. Okay, the gaps that I'm about to finish my presentation. The gaps that, of course, that I have, I've divided into two. There's manufacturing gaps, there's services gap, On manufacturing, of course, the issue of building a prototype, because you cannot start by having a smart manufacturing without designing a prototype, And I've shared with you earlier on that I would have engineers and they'll dump me, I will have this, didn't happen, So that's a gap that one had, and I'm still having, but there's good development that I'm going to share with you on the prototype now. And also the testing side. If you're into manufacturing, it's important that you partner with companies that have testing ground for your drone, So that's kind of a challenge, But I've learned that it's not only to come with the man and prototype, but you need to have those testing sites, and to test your prototype, So that I have, but that gap has been closed recently, and also the one on smart manufacturing facility. Gone are the days where we need traditional big manufacturing facility. You need to be very autonomous and how you build a smart manufacturing, that is been taken care of. It's slowly, but I'm seeing the light of the end of the day. And the other gaps, that even if you're into manufacturing, when you pitch to funders, they say, where is the letter of intent? So that's what I learned. I thought that when you say I built my drones, then it's easy. But now, before they fund you, your smart manufacturing, they ask you, do you have potential client that believe in your product? So they need to give you a committal, not non-committal, committal letter of intent, because I tried some few, but the client will come back, the potential funder to say, but that's not committal enough. We need a client that will commit that should you build 10 drones, they'll place orders from you, you know. So those are the gaps and the lesson that one learned during a manufacturing drone. But now on the services with my consortium partners, you know, still have some few, one or two pains there, you know, that you need to have resources, you know, obviously you need to have people that are engineers internally, you know, and I still have to have more clients, you know. So yeah, so those are the gaps that one is still having. Okay. The milestone, I want to end on a positive note. What has happened? I must say that for the past 6 months, QP has received a lot of brand equity, you know, and this is what we're taught in my business and in the business school, that that's also important, because once people know about your brand, they believe in your brand, that on its own convert into, because it's kind of a social capital, it converts into financial capital. So we are privileged that we are getting a lot of brand equity from even outside South Africa. And it's important for us because we said we were born global. The company was conceived in Shenzhen while I was there with one student who was doing PhD in drones. We're spending sleepless nights strategizing how we're going to build these drones in Africa and all of that, you know. So it's humbling to see that we are being accepted. People now, instead of me pushing for partnership, I get calls, people want to work with us, you know. And also the other milestone, of course, the one of drone author, as I mentioned earlier, the Amazon that became #1, the award judge, you know, it's a privilege that I got approached to be, as I mentioned earlier, to be a judge to judge the best drone companies to offer services. And the MD of being a flying lab, of course, and the one that is making me very excited, you know, partnership with vets, you know, the aviation department, because that one is the one that's going to make our manufacturing ambition a reality. So we've got the varsity that has invested in aviation. They've got students, they've got qualified engineers, engineering network, they've got facilities, testing facilities, and all of that. So they've partnered with QP to pursue that dream of being a manufacturer, you know. But also the cherry on top, that now finally I've got an engineer who's going to be in-house to push the design of prototype. So even if we partner with entities outside QP, but we've got someone that is pushing the agenda of manufacturing. Okay, and also, as I said, that now I've got established consulting company, the consortium, you know, that have an ROC and all the implementing partners, and also we are busy with PricewaterhouseCoopers, where they are pushing the issue of smart manufacturing, and they want to work with us. That as soon as our smart manufacturing is up and running, they'll give us pro bono services on automizing all the systems of running a smart manufacturing. Yeah, so basically we seeing the light at the end of the day, and we are very excited about those development. I think for now, I'm gonna end here. There's something that I thought I have. I don't see it here. Is that that for the first time? Oh, I have it here. For the first time, we got a paying client. You know, as I said, now I'm scaling. You know, and it's a big company. It's a company global presence where they're giving us services. They want to that we offer services on drone solutions. You know, and you know, we believe in SQP. We believe in global brand. We believe in local brand because we're a born global company. So when everything is coming together, you know, and we are humbled by that this is what one has been praying for, that, you know, I know that not that I undermine small small business that you have to start small. But for me, I was very strategic that I want to work with brands, and also other than the commercial client that has agreed to work with us, but also on Drone for Good, there's an international donor who has presence in South Africa that wants to fund our social for our team, Drone for Good project. So yeah, so we're saying that we are in a good space, but it took us almost 2.5 to 3 years to reach this decision now, to reach this space. So I'll end by saying that we let's fail forward and keep moving. It's not easy, but yeah, we'll get there, and thanks for the support of Kim, Louise, Kale, and everyone who's embracing us and all the companies. Yeah, thank you so much. I think let me stop talking too much and give you a chance to talk to me now. Thank you.
Queen, I am so inspired. Well done.
Thank you.
Literally, well, first of all, congratulations on everything. You've been in the press and there's been so much that's been happening. But on your paying client, hello, we always say like, no more for free. Sorry.
No,
people
no
like,
more.
can you come and do a demo? No, you've already had 3 demos.
Yes, you get
right?
Yeah.
And right in the beginning, we all do demos, but eventually you're like, you know what? You can YouTube what an M300 does with an H20T, right?
And the use case stories. Everyone wants use cases, but I have use case. What more do you want?
Exactly. Yeah. Congratulations. This is amazing. You're going to have to call me and give me the inside scoop. I want to know.
Yes, I will definitely. Yeah.
Queen, so, I had some questions for you around, if you had to give advice to someone starting off. I think you've done that in your presentation, where you've had your lessons learned. But if you could do this all over again, getting on the flight to Shenzhen, what would you do differently?
Yeah, I think the focus, that vertical integration is very important. I think instead of starting by pushing manufacturing business model, I should have pushed the services model and move into manufacturing model, especially if your country is not ready for it and it's resource driven. So it's ideal that you start the other way around and come back. Who knows that you won't come back? And one of the chairperson of the advisory board says that who knows that you won't go back to manufacturing, but I am going back, Yeah, so that's a lesson that I've learned, that, as much as you can have a sustainable working model, but you need to check the reality, So this is the advice that I could give to other companies, that start with the services that is ready-made, that will push your brand, that the client will pay you immediately, unlike starting with a big dream and stakeholders are not ready for it and you don't have resources to push it as well. Yeah. So that was a big takeaway from me. Yeah. And also focusing on your strength, because I'm good with services. This is what I've been doing for the past 22 years. But I decided to try something new that was cumbersome, relying on engineers and, So rather exploit on your strength and you can divest to others. Yeah.
That's really good advice. Because oftentimes we think we need to follow the market, right? Yes. And then you leave behind what you can really do.
Yes.
No, that is really good advice. Queen, I've been, and Ella is sitting with me because she's been at the same conference. We've literally been at this conference 8 to 5 for 2 days. And then last minute, they kind of brought me in to chair it. So hence us trying to be in 2 places at the same time. But it was very interesting that one of the speakers in the conference was talking about the fact that there's a severe lack of local manufacturing, but not necessarily for the whole drone, but components. Yes. Right? Because everyone who's manufacturing drones in South Africa, and they're not many, and of course, lots of people are trying, and the story, But what has to happen? All the components have to be imported from China, right? And so specifically during COVID-19, no one could get parts in from China. So everyone who's been doing their thing and trying has been delayed by almost a year because nothing's come in. So imagine if you have your large scale smart manufacturing site and, you know, while you're still planning your actual drone design and trying to get that off the ground, you know, the idea was discussed today around, does it have to be a drone? Can it be components, which, by the way, everyone uses? This, you know, I mean, yes, of course, there's variants, but, you know, everyone has to use an electronic speed controller and everyone's going to have to use props and motors and what have you. So is that something that you would consider, or do you think that's viable?
Yes, actually, to be honest, one of my partners did suggest that, you know, that maybe you might need to focus on the parts instead of the whole drone. Hence, when I shared one of my slides, I think I did mention that it's building the whole drone. The other one was on parts of the drone. Because what we are learning, because we are into services, we also learn that there are parts that are difficult to find, you know. So maybe we need to do a research. Which are those parts that are scarce but critical? You know, we rather focus on building those small parts instead of the whole drone. So it's a good start for manufacturing as well. And thanks for emphasizing it, because he's been saying that, and I'm seeing that really, you know, one needs to consider that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think for those who are not, those of you who have joined who are not in South Africa, and I think we talked about this a few weeks ago with Kelebogile, right? Where we were saying around funding that is made available for entrepreneurs, and the risk management models of how these funds are applied haven't caught up with 4IR, and they haven't caught up with our disruptive technology, which is drones, because you are going to ask for funding, right? And they're saying, okay, well, you want to manufacture, but how much of your drone is actually manufactured locally? So for those of you in the US and outside of South Africa, funding agencies generally for manufacturing need 50% of the actual product that you are manufacturing to be locally manufactured. But in a drone, when we're importing most of the parts, right? So Queen, it's probably the frame that's manufactured locally, right? If that, and the rest is imported from China. And then they sit there and they go, nah, can't fund you because, you know, or they say, oh, we need 5 years of audited financials. And we're like, our drone industry isn't even 5 years old.
Yes.
You know, and by the way, I don't have an order book and I haven't been paid for a long time. So I cannot show profit and I don't have an accountant.
And the thing that you have been dumped by a lot of funders because of that, oh, you said you haven't done anything. Oh, but this is a new industry, you know.
Right. Yeah. And so isn't there,
for them,
And like you said, Queen, it's a lonely journey because you're sitting there going, I've been dumped by another funder. Meanwhile, it's not you being dumped. They just they're not ready for where we are. So, you know, I think the other thing I wanted to touch on was your ability to pivot, or your realization that you needed to pivot. You know, there's another thing in entrepreneurship where you kind of say, well, you know, yes, fail fast. If you're going to fail fast, or pivot fast. And so, you know, that's a really good thing that you've done around not giving up on your dream, but temporarily, or maybe pivoting or pivoting to, you know, diversify. So, you know, well done on that. That's fantastic. Are there any questions from anyone who is on the call?
Kim, this is Sharon. I don't have a question, but I wanted to say thank you so much, Queen. That was awesome. Your journey, sharing your journey. And I think that's a key part of why we do what we do, is because we're inspired knowing that others are out there and they've had a journey, and we learn from each other's struggle, because that's exactly what it's like many times. And then when you have successes, like you were talking about your first paying client, we get a chance to celebrate. So thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you. Thanks for the platform, for coming with the concept as well.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Thank you.
No, it's fantastic, and really, Queen, we have to celebrate in person. I will buy you the cocktail that we've been threatening to have for a year. Now we'll have something. We've got two things to celebrate: your South African Flying Labs and your clients. So that's fab.
Thank you, ladies. Yeah, I can't wait to see you when you come to Africa.
We'll have a big party when all of our women and drones colleagues come and visit from the US.
Yes, we're very excited about that.
Yeah.
Me in. Queen, I want to thank you. It was a wonderful presentation. Thank you so much. I was wondering if you could share some tips about on the sales side. I know the one slide said sales. So can you share some tips about the sales?
Yeah, and then the sales I've noticed that it's also about relationship. It's not only about your capacity and your competence. You know, as I said, that always ambition kills me. Kim knows that I speak to big brands only. So the other one, they were happy with the capacity and capability, but they were not too sure. A Black woman in this industry and use case of one or two, you know. So, but you go to another similar client who say, wow, where do you come from? Please come on, girl, you know. So it's a matter of combination of things, you know, that luck, you know, because the same organization, the same caliber of organization, but the other one, even they see your competencies, but they still doubt you. You go to another one, the other guy says high tech, you know, and it's interesting, it's very fascinated that it's done by a Black woman, you know. So it's a matter of luck, you know, and also it's a matter of the state of readiness of the organization as well, because I could sense that the other one, they were more ready for such a technology, you know, and also the issue of perseverance, you know, like when I pitched to some organization, you know, they listen to you, but not really listen to you. And when they see you posting something, yeah, I'm empty of Flying Lab, please come back and then, you know, so so continue with the journey, you know, at least they know about you, keep on knocking the doors. They might not give you that opportunity the time you need it, but if you continue moving and they see that you are moving, they end up calling you back. That's so, man, we're too busy. It was the end of financial year. Now we are more relaxed. Come back to us, you know. So it's more of that perseverance, that don't take rejection badly. Take that it is not the right time, but you know, and keep in touch with those clients. You know that, okay, I know we spoke 6 months ago, but I thought let me share that between our last conversation and what we are doing now, the development. So this is what I'm thinking. It's helping a bit for my side, you know. Yeah. So rejection is not easy, but sometimes they do consider you later on. Yeah. And it's
Queen,
not
sorry, go ahead.
So sometimes we tend to take this thing personally, that maybe I'm not doing well, I'm not pitching well, but sometimes it's the state of the client themselves, not embracing it, not ready for you. But most of them, they do come back when the technology is maturing. Yeah, sorry, I saw you.
No, Ella wanted to say something.
Yes, Ella.
Hi, Queen.
Hello,
so
Ella.
I have made business cards, right? So I keep handing them out to people, but my phone doesn't ring. So I took that business card like 50 times. Is my number right? Is my number? Then I would read it 0. I know my number out of my head. Then I would go to my phone. Is it right? Then I would call myself. Okay, my phone is ringing. Then it's like, it's not me. It's not. give the cards out, but my phone doesn't ring. So then I was like, what did I do wrong? Sometimes I may talk too much or so, but what did I do wrong? But then in the end, when I speak to you guys every Thursday, I realize it is a difficult area. We are women, men underestimate us, businesses underestimate us. So one day my phone will not stop ringing thanks to people like you.
Yes, thank
I'm positive about that.
Isn't Ella just the most classic human being in the entire world?
Can I show you a secret? I know I'm running late now. Also, emotional intelligence. You know, as women sometimes become a bit emotional and take things personal, you know. So there was this client that was very condemning. Like you could see that she's rejecting me without giving me a chance, you know. But the way she was treating me, he was bad, you know. So I decided to write him a letter one-on-one, you know, that let's talk, you know. I felt very disrespected. I don't have a problem if you don't give me a business, but I felt very disrespected. This is what I've done over and above what I presented to and all of that. Because I was so emotional, I took the wrong attachment and attached to everyone, all the executives. This is how I lost. So you must
And
come
then-
out and feel.
Did anyone respond?
Just right between, but as I did follow up me apologizing that you saw in the email I was saying one-on-one, so obviously something went wrong, and yeah, I think that's how I lost the business. So we must be emotional stable, emotional intelligent. So don't do things when you are angry and crying and yeah.
That is classic. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Let me share with you just so you feel better.
Yeah.
I have people calling me back and emailing me 2 years after I first went to see them, or our business development person went to see them.
Yeah.
So the sales cycle in our service industry is long. And there are a couple of reasons for that. One is, I think you alluded to it, Queen, maybe that company is investigating drone technology, but they're not ready yet. Because remember, an enterprise solution, and you're talking about big brands, lots has to change when they implement a drone program. So, you know, at some point they go, brilliant idea. Let me get the drone queen in to come and do a presentation. Meanwhile, it's that person's little pipe dream and the organization's nowhere near ready. Secondly, a lot of times when we go and see people, they're like, we're in a contract with a security business for 3 years or 5 years. And in our industry, in security, that is, or like guarding or whatever, those contracts stay in place. They do not change for that 5-year period. So they meet you and they're like, yay. And then 2 years later, they said, okay, our contract's up now. Now we want to talk to you again. So I think the sales cycle is just long, and I never take it personally, because if you do, like in this industry, you'd just give up, because do you know what I mean? And honestly, I just think that it is still so new, and people aren't perhaps seeing it for what it is. And then lastly, we had a very interesting speaker yesterday who is a consultant for the commercial drone industry and manned and unmanned aviation industry. And he said they get called into meetings and then they do the whole big presentation and whatever. And then he's like, you don't need drones. You want drones to be the answer, but you don't even know what the problem is. So now that we've talked, I can tell you now, your problem is not going to be solved by drone technology. So do you know what I mean? People are interested and they often ask you to come and do presentations. And then if you really, really dig deep, it's like they haven't thought this through, you know, because it's still so new. So I think we'll all be going through that still, you know. Yeah. Hey, I know we're over time, but I don't want to be the person that cuts this short, because I know I opened the call late and I profusely apologize for that. There is there is someone who wants to introduce themselves, but just before that, Debbie Jewett. Debbie, you've been online for 2 days at this conference, and now you're online here. Your eyes must be square. So Debbie says, in other parts of the world, they have dedicated testing sites, but we don't have one in South Africa. We should be asking for a dedicated drone testing area. That's a very, very good observation and comment. I wonder if, the likes of Danelle and, places like that have their own drone program wouldn't, we need to speak to some people, but where do we test our drones, right? It's a problem.
Hence, I approached them when I came back, but as I said, that they didn't embrace. But now, because you've got structures like Drone Council, Drone Association, Women in Drones, it's easy to approach them as a group, unlike if it's an individual company. I think, that's a problem.
100%, but well raised, Debbie. We have someone on the call who would love to introduce herself. Tamiko Sho, if I've pronounced that correctly.
Hi, yes, I'm Tamiko. I'm not a drone pilot, but I am a commercial pilot with an instrument license for 25 years.
Wow.
And I'm fascinated by drones, and I applaud all of you for being in the industry. And I just wanted to announce myself to Kim because I'm actually professionally a researcher. And what I have done was 5 years ago, I launched my own study on entrepreneurship, which I will put in a link for everybody to see. And I would like to do a publication on drones in South Africa, which is to cover the legislative, the issues. And I think it's fantastic that there's this group of women, and particularly we have one chapter on women, youth, people with disabilities, and SMMEs. And what I do is I liaise in the space between government, private sector, and small business. I've just finished an 18-month contract with the European Union on ecosystem development, so I put some money aside. So I don't know if any of you are interested in being available to be interviewed. We would love to hear your perspective, because just right away, to give you an example, how the funding model is for entrepreneurship in drone and the risk management models needs to be rethought. And I've actually got probably some answers for that. The ability to pivot within the industry, given how fast things are changing, the lack of a dedicated testing site, and really understanding the whole perspective and the ecosystem of the unmanned aviation industry. Those are just 4 points I've picked up in listening to you in the last hour. So I'll post my study so you can see the kind of work I do. And if you are interested in being part, I would love to have you in any contacts and recommendations. We're at early stages. We're going to spend the next 5 months doing it. And just so you know, it's a pivot in my own business. I also have a tech app on the side. And in the next 5 months, I'm launching my own NGO, which is focusing on research in Africa. I am an American, but I've been here 26 years. So I'll put that in, and anyone who would like to connect, I see some points, I'll find you on LinkedIn. So thank you for letting me introduce myself, Kim. And I think you guys are doing some fabulous work. I'd like to highlight about women in drones in the publication.
I'm about to climb through the camera and just reach out to you, Tamiko. Thank you so much. Where are you based? Did I miss that at the beginning?
I'm in Joburg. Oh my
gosh. Okay, yeah. We're meeting.
Where are you?
Centurion.
Oh, wow. Okay, no, yeah. Definitely.
Well, I would love to introduce you. You've got to meet Louise Jupp, obviously.
Yes. I've just ordered 3 of her books on Amazon and sent them to my sister in the States.
Oh my gosh. You've got to meet Sunette Koch. We'll introduce you to the folks at Kawasa, the folks at the Drone Council for sure. And we've just had Sunette Koch speak as the second last speaker this afternoon on the categorization model that's being considered, and she is sitting on Jaris and IATA's working groups to implement some of these things. And so a lot of the solutions that will come out of implementation are what our problem statement is in the Drone Council. So there are a lot of people that are going to want to talk to you.
Yeah, no. I think, and I've
There's
just
not going to be a shortage of subject matter.
No. On my last study, we interviewed 50. So, and we did 2 of them as focus groups. So it's, and the city of Joburg adopted my study and they rolled it into their policy, and it became, so the language we speak is, I've got a partner who's has a PhD in entrepreneurship at WITS, and she will be the head researcher. And we're planning to go to probably the Department of Transport, the Department of Communication and Technology, and DSBD, and I have contacts in at least 2 of them.
Wow, amazing.
So, and then being a pilot, aviation and looking at airspace and everything is not intimidating in the least.
Are you connected to Dr. Sumari Root? Do you know her work from the from what is it called, Cape Silicon and the UCT work?
I've met with the people from Cape Silicon, but I don't know her specifically.
Okay, I'll connect you to her because they are working on a white paper, which
I read about
Victor Radebe was starting.
I saw that. Yeah. I don't do white papers. I'm a commercial research person. Yes. I like to say, what are the market opportunities?
Yeah.
I'm not interested in doing fancy white papers. I want to talk about where can we make business? Where can people make business?
Yeah.
Where can we find opportunities for small businesses? How can, and not in these gigantic multi-million rand things, where can small businesses get in and get a little piece of the pie? So unpack the value chain, understand the ecosystem approach, and say, here's, if you take the value chain and the drone, and I'm talking all the way to data analytics and the data side, which is what my partner specializes in. And unpacking all those opportunities and saying, what does it look like? What can it look like? What can it look like in 10 years from now, 20 years from now? What are the opportunities? What are the gaps? And you guys have started calling up some of them already. So I'm trying to capture whoever has said that they.
Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to
put my email address because I'm not going to be able to capture everybody.
I'm going to save chat. I've saved the chat, Tomiko, and then let me just save your email. But I will then connect you with Louise Jupp and Sharon, and then we can, I will share whoever's given their details on here because I've just saved the chats.
Fantastic. I really appreciate that. And I see Sibu Siso has his hand up.
Sibu, go ahead. Hello. Sibu, did you want to ask a question?
He's muted.
Let's see. See if it's in the chat. Sibu Siso?
He's muted.
You've got your hand up.
He's muted.
Yeah, he's muted.
Sibu
okay.
Siso, can you unmute yourself, please? We'd love to hear what you have to say.
Sibu Siso is doing, oh, there you go. Sibu? Oh, there
he is.
He's lowered his hand. Okay. So I'm in touch with Sibu Siso quite a lot. He is doing a master's at the moment, and he's doing quite a bit of research. So I'm sure it's got something to do with that, but I will, I'll connect you with him as well. Oh, he said it was a mistake. Okay.
Okay.
All right. I'm aware of time. Queen, thank you so much for sharing your journey. We are thrilled for you as an industry, as Women in Drones and Women in Drones Africa. Thank you for sharing your first client win on the Fireside Chats.
Thank you.
There you go. We've made history. And then Tomiko, thank you so much for introducing yourself. And I think there is much excitement that's going to come off the back of this call today. I can tell you that. So thank you, everybody. Apologies again for opening the call late. And we will see you next week. If there's anyone else who wants to comment or ask a question before we go. Otherwise, we will close the call. Queen, enjoy your celebration with your daughter.
Yeah,
Have an
understand.
amazing weekend.
After this call.
I can see you're dressed in your sparklies. You're ready to party.
Thank you, ladies. Thanks, Boo, and
Really?
everyone who joined. I want to acknowledge someone who has joined us today, Richard Nicole, all the way from Airways. Thank you
Wow.
for joining us.
Thank you very much, Queen. Sorry, I've caught the tail end of it, but again, I absolutely love all these calls and everything that Women in Drones are doing, and just listening in is fantastic. So thanks for the shout out. I do not deserve it. So yeah, big round of applause to everybody else.
Thank you.
Thanks, Richard. All right, everybody, have an awesome day, evening. Be safe, and we will see you next week.